This,
Here are my flashcards. And this is my audience. Okay, so I'm giving my speech on oppositional defiant disorder. Oppositional defiant disorder is a pattern of disobedient, hostile, and defiant behavior towards authority figures. To fit this diagnosis, the pattern of behavior must last for at least 6 months and must deviate from what society deems as normal developmental behavior for that age. The behavior must lead to significant problems in school or social activities as well. Symptoms include frequent temper tantrums, excessive arguing with adults, often questioning rules, active defiance and refusal to comply with adult requests, deliberate attempts to annoy or upset people, blaming others for his or her mistakes, often being touchy or easily annoyed by others, frequently angry and resentful, mean and hateful talking when upset, spiteful attitude, and revenge seeking. Several large community-based studies have found that approximately 3% of children meet criteria for oppositional defiant disorder as described by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, also known as the DSM. This will be found in the 4th edition. However, studies show considerable variance associated with differences in the criteria, age of assessment, and numbers of informants used, resulting in prevalence estimates of 1 to 16%. Roughly half the children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, have comorbid oppositional defiant disorder, which means they have both at the same time. Oppositional defiant disorder is most likely to arise when a strong-willed child with a reactive and high-energy temperament has a parent who is authoritarian rather than authoritative. An authoritarian parent who expects obedience will be frustrated with a child who does not listen as a result of being strong-willed or having a high energy level. Children with ADHD are particularly vulnerable. The child will react to the excessive control of the parent by becoming angry and wanting to assert him or herself. The child will see the parent as inappropriately bossy or domineering rather than helpful. The parent sees the child as unreasonable and disrespectful and is likely to try doubly hard to enforce authority. The child probably wouldn't be too popular in school due to their need to feel that they are on top. They would often have a very short fuse, deliberately annoying other children, and they would also be easily annoyed by other children, or very touchy. The child could develop into conduct disorder, which is more violent and more intense than O.D.D. And then after that, it could in turn turn into a sociopathic or criminal personality disorder. They could refuse to cooperate with teachers, not to do their homework, being deliberately late, and refuse to keep order in their desk or cubby. They really need structure with an aggressive training component. The child could, if eventually got bad enough, may move to harm themselves. This is much more than a child going through their terrible twos or something like that. Like I said before, it has to last at least 6 months and be deemed abnormal from the children of their age and how they usually act. It must negatively affect all aspects of their life. When I began to research this topic, I was aware that it was a conduct disorder, but I was unaware of how severe it really was and how it could really affect the whole family. Some of the personal stories I read, it was really heartbreaking to hear how some families would end up in divorce or just they would completely fall apart, and it was actually really horrible, and a lot of them didn't end with a happy ending. So that's my speech on oppositional defiance disorder.